I've got a question for you all. Do you think that trials, that a courtroom trial for any offence, should be about finding the truth, finding the right result, and making sure that justice is served correctly? Or do you think it should be about getting as many trials through the process as quickly as possible to free up a backlog? David Lammy, the Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, gave press conferences and released data earlier on this week saying that they were looking to do away with jury trials in all but the very most serious of cases. My understanding is that it will end up, if they get their way, that only one in every 66 cases of all types will go before a jury. Is that right? Is that correct? Do you believe that's going to be good for justice and good for justice being seen to be done? Watch this quick clip from a barrister, and she explains much more coherently and concisely and with much more insider insight than I ever can why she thinks it's so wrong.
So the question that David Lammy is going to be grappling with today is, where do we draw the line? And it seems very clear now that he's going to move the line for citizens, people watching your programme, as to when they are entitled to trial by jury. Now, in my view, if somebody is going to lose their liberty for a significant period of time, lose their job, potentially lose their family, lose their ability to travel, lose their good name, these are serious offences. And David Lammy has done the media round this morning speaking about people pinching bicycles and nicking phones and juxtaposing those against rape victims. And that's a very effective strategy. He could come and do my job and be very persuasive, I'm sure. But I conduct rape trials almost every day of my working life, and I see the real delays. And I've never seen a rape trial held up by somebody who's pinched a bicycle. I know what the real delays are. I know where the real remedies lie. And so do the criminal bar, and so do the judges. And we've liaised with Sir Brian Leveson, and we've liaised with the government.
Who has been doing a big inquiry
Yes.
into all of this. Yeah.
And the question really that I pose to David Lammy is that if he went to the Christmas party tomorrow and was wrongly accused of sexual assault, and that's an either-way offence, it's not an either-way offence that he's giving as an example because it's a difficult one, would he be happy to be tried by a single judge sitting alone and not 12 people with diverse opinions and diverse backgrounds? Because our judiciary are brilliant, they are great lawyers and they are public-spirited people, but I'm afraid to say they're not special at deciding facts. If we had a circuit judge in here now to decide who stole what or who touched who or who drove the car dangerously, they would be no better equipped than you or I or anyone else on the street to decide. In fact, they might be less well equipped because they will be case hardened.
Okay.
If you hear your 5th sexual assault of the month, if you hear your 10th death by dangerous driving in 2 years, you would become case hardened. Any one of us would, because they're only human. And so we have an excellent system of dealing with middling to serious criminal offences. This is a misdiagnosis and it's a wrong turn.
In terms of the backlog, you obviously know that there's an issue here. You see it every day.
Yes.
Are there other solutions then that you think exist that the government could bring forward?
Yes. David Lammy is missing solutions 1 to 99 and jumping to solution 100. I sit in murder trials and the defendant is being held in custody and somebody needs to drive a van from the prison to the court and they don't manage it. They don't manage it on day 1 or day 2. They don't manage it for weeks and we sit there waiting and time is lost. I sit in courtrooms where we have to send the jury home because the boiler is broken and they're sitting there in hats and scarves and they can't decide the verdict in a child rape. We deal with cases where the air conditioning won't work and the cells are too hot to keep human beings in them. And so we waste another day. It is endless. And all this government needs to do is open the wallet, I'm afraid. And you get what you pay for. And we're starting to lose sight of what we are trying to do in our courts. We are not trying to convict as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. We are looking for justice. And we are looking for justice for complainants, that Loda's quite rightly pointed out, but we are looking for justice for defendants as well. We want to get the right people convicted of the right crimes and get the right sentences.
Can you see so the idea that not having a jury trial could help with the backlog, do you think there's any justification for that? It might
shave a day off of a 4-day trial, but it's not going to shave huge amounts of time off. The truth is the evidence still needs to be heard in an open courtroom. The defendant needs to hear the case against him or her. The judge will need to consider the verdict. And at the moment, our courts work twice as hard at the end of a criminal trial. The judge sends the jury out and they are considering their verdict. They are deliberating. And the judge cracks on with the next trial. Under these proposals, the judge will have to go and sit in his or her room and write their reasons out. Some judges are not the quickest at doing things like that, and that will slow things down at the other end. So this is not a magic bullet, this is not the solution, and this is definitively a wrong turn.
What do you think? As she says so eloquently, justice is about finding the right decision and getting justice. But it's not just justice for the victims and for the courts. It can also, a lot of the time, be justice for the accused. We have a very, very, very important presumption in this country, which is innocent until proven guilty. You must be proven to be guilty, not suspected of, but proven to be. And therefore, doing away with trial by jury is potentially very damaging to that entire concept. What you're going to end up with, as Peter Hitchens has said, is state-sanctioned processing of justice. You're going to get a courtroom whose main presumption is, how do we get as many of these people through the system as quickly as we can? And are we going to find as many of them as we can guilty or not? Do you trust, given what's gone on over the course of the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in our justice system, that judges and the judiciary and magistrates are always capable of reaching the right decision? As that barrister said, they're no more capable necessarily of understanding evidence and reaching the right conclusion as you or I. They have the legal framework to know what can be considered, how it should be framed, how it should be considered, and what impact that has on a verdict. But in terms of actually understanding the evidence, they're not necessarily any better than 12 men good and true, as a jury used to be called. It's vital that we retain this many, many, many 100 years old concept that we have in this country, and which many people say actually started in this country. And doing away with jury trials is a very slippery slope towards a totalitarian, state-controlled dispensation of justice based on what they see as justice rather than what the law actually says. As I say, the barrister framed it much more clearly and coherently than I ever could, but I'm deeply concerned about where we're heading. When you also add in things like facial recognition cameras, when you add in things like digital identity for everyone, when you add in, sorry, my phone rang, when you add in the amount of people that are now getting knocks on the door for so-called hate speech, social media speech, things that they post online, we are entering very tricky territory, and therefore it's more important than ever to preserve our ancient rights and ancient freedoms. And trial by jury is an ancient right and an ancient freedom, and the fact that they propose to do away with them in all but 1 in 66 cases is deeply, deeply concerning, and as the barrister said, not a road she believes we should be going down.